What's going on, everybody? Noah Sanford here, hanging out in my garage right now because it's way too windy to be trying to film this fishing report outside or out by my boat. It's blowing like 30 miles an hour plus right now. Terrible day for fishing, but I have good news. Since we are doing the fishing report, we always start with the weather report, so let's go ahead and jump into the weather report for Lake Mead. Friday looks pretty miserable, to be honest. I would be careful going out Friday. Maybe you could sneak a couple hours early in the morning, but it looks like it's gonna be blowing upwards of 35 miles an hour come 10 or 11 o'clock and throughout the rest of the day. So probably would hold off for Friday unless it's absolutely your only day. If it is, be careful. Saturday, Sunday look good though. Saturday, I think the high is supposed to be like 14 or 15 miles an hour. I think Sunday's a little bit less, like 13, 14. So Saturday, Sunday should be pretty nice. Maybe just a little bit of breeze or chop. Definitely gonna be manageable for almost any kind of boat out there though. So don't worry about the weather for the most part. Saturday, Sunday, but Friday, like I said, I'd probably steer clear. The water temperatures I've been seeing this last week have been continually dropping a little bit. Not a ton, but if you guys are in Vegas, you'll know that it's been crazy windy this whole week. And what that does is it chops that water all around, it churns it all up, and that results in colder water temperatures. The reason for that water from the deep parts of the lake, it gets moved up, that surface water gets pushed down with all those waves going on. And so water is gonna be low 50s, guys. So you're gonna be looking at anywhere between 52, maybe 53 and a half if you're lucky, if you get in some decent areas. But most of the time you're gonna be looking at that like 52, 53 degree water temperature. So plan on that while you're going out. Moving on to what I've been catching these fish on, guys. So the pattern has really stayed the same recently. Most of my bites are coming from either finesse type baits, so Ned rig, drop shot, that kind of stuff. Here and there, I've been getting a bigger bite on a bigger bottom bait, something like Carolina rig, Texas rig, jig, that kind of stuff. But honestly, guys, the bigger bait bite has kind of shut off a little bit for me. Most of the fish I've been catching have been on those smaller finesse baits. Once again, I hammer this idea a lot come wintertime. Don't get caught up in only dragging a drop shot, dragging a worm. There's other stuff you can do. So just because something hasn't worked great for me, doesn't mean it won't work great for you guys. So like I said, get out there and make sure that you throw baits that aren't the same as everyone else, guys. If everyone's throwing, or if you always throw a 4-inch worm, try a 6-inch worm, right? If you're always throwing a jerk bait to get a reaction bite, try a crankbait. You get what I'm saying? So really just go out there and try a bunch of different baits, because I am a strong believer that this time of year in the colder water months, that sometimes just being able to keep it diverse and being able to always be switching up what you're using, the pattern changes day by day. So one day you'll go out and catch them on reaction, the next day you catch them on finesse, and vice versa. So really go out there with a handful of different rods and techniques if you have them at your access, and try your best to just throw a lot of different bait. Wrapping it up with the areas I've been catching these fish at. So really, guys, most of the fish I've been catching have been on that like main lake type stuff. So main lake points, okay, if you're going down the middle of the channel of Lake Mead, try one of the left or right sides where you see one of those steeper points coming down into the water. For some reason though, it seems like the smallmouth especially recently have been stacking up on those main lake points. I think part of it is because all this wind has been pushing that bait around that might have been out in the middle, pushing it towards those points, and those big smallmouth like to sit on those points for ambush spots in like 25, 35 feet of water, waiting for that bait to go past them, okay? So I would focus on those main lake points, but the other thing too is like centers of coves. So if you're going down a cove, I wouldn't waste your time beating the bank, but I would throw my bait right down the center, the guts of that cove, in like that 20 to 30 foot range. So find those shallower coves where the deep V section of the cove is like 25, 35 in that range, and drag your bait down the bottom of those coves, and you'd be surprised, you're still actually gonna find some areas with some trees and some grass, even this late, well, I guess I should say even this early in the year. For how cold the water is, I've actually found a handful of spots, if you do your homework and you really go around and find them, I found a handful of spots that actually do still have some grass that are holding more of those largemouth as opposed to the smallmouth. So that's kind of been the pattern for me, guys. Either trying the centers of those coves or main lake points. Once again though, that's what's worked for me. That doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. I could go out tomorrow and that could not be true, okay? That's really just wintertime fishing. It changes every day, really every hour. The bite is changing this time of year. So go out there, don't think and focus on one specific type of lure or presentation. All right guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. Appreciate you guys always coming along and watching. So stoked we have surpassed 1,000 subscribers. The channel's continuing to grow. So I just wanna thank you guys who have been supporting from day one. I really appreciate you guys. You know who you are. My name's Noah Sanford. We'll see you guys out on the water.